I watched Baby Assassins for the first time this year, and it's quickly become one of my favourite films. This movie follows two assassins who, following their graduation, have to find part-time jobs to blend in with society. So if you haven't watched this yet, make sure you do before you watch this, because there'll be some spoilers here and there. And also, before you do go watch it, try not to go in with the mindset that this is going to be an action film. I understand that it is about two assassins, but ultimately it plays out more like a slice of life, coming-of-age dramedy than it does an action movie. When I watched this the first time, I went in with the mindset that this would be an action film. Having seen that it was associated with the Hi-R streaming service, and having seen the trailers, it really does look like an action film. Which means that the first time that I watched it, it actually took me a little bit of a while to get what it was going for, so hopefully you don't make the same mistake and you go into it with the right expectations. So why do I love this movie? Well, one of the reasons is that the main characters of this movie perfectly encapsulate the different approaches and the different realities of struggling with adult life. Each one of these characters has a fear of failure within them. Mihiro is shy, lazy, and is so worried about failing that she doesn't really even want to try. She wants to do the one thing she's good at. Whereas Chisao, on the other hand, is bubbly, energetic, and outgoing, and she desperately wants to succeed and she'll try extra hard to make sure that she does, even if it doesn't always go well. But there's also a third character worth looking at called Himari, who is the Yakuza's daughter in the movie and one of the key antagonists, and she represents the kind of people you see who succeed constantly and don't know the limits of their own success. I personally feel like all of these characters are really relatable in one way or another, either for an individual themselves who is like one of these archetypes, or for the different moods you might have and the different things you might partake. For some events I might feel like a Mihiro, for others I might feel like a Chisao. If I'm doing really well at something, maybe I'll feel like a Himari. But I'd also like to focus on Mihiro specifically, because she represents what is, in my opinion, one of this movie's greatest strengths. After watching the movie the first time, I went and I read other people's reviews to see other people's perspectives, and one review in particular mentioned that this might be a movie secretly about dealing with adult life as an autistic woman. Once I read this, I couldn't stop thinking about it, because Mihiro was the one who I related to the most. She was the one who resonated with me the most, and it didn't even consider to me at the time that this reason might be because I relate to her as an autistic person. Everything about Sayori Ozawa's performance here is perfect. Her delivery and her mannerisms really match what I would expect from this kind of a character. When you get autistic representations in media, they tend to come in two forms. Either the potentially outrageous, over-the-top, exaggerated performances like we've seen recently in The Good Doctor, or the secret representation, the loose interpretation that we see in a character like Abed from Community. What makes Abed's portrayal so good is that while some characters claim that he is autistic, he's never officially diagnosed within the show, which means that when he does things that are potentially outrageous, there's still a distance between himself and the real disability, and when he does things that are accurate or representational, they can still feel really relatable and really cathartic towards the struggle that I might have during a daily basis. Mihiro's performance is very similar to Abed's. It's a secret portrayal that never officially diagnoses her, but gives her the freedom to become really representational for someone like me. There are a few pieces of dialogue that really stand out to me personally that I find really relatable. There's one really relatable piece of dialogue where Chisao thanks Mihiro for cooking her some Odin when she comes home, and Mihiro says, "I didn't cook this for you, I just wanted Odin."
てくれてありがとう。ね。おでん食べたかったからさ。
Near the end of the movie, Mihiro delivers an apology speech to Chisao. This piece of dialogue is the most powerful for me and the most profound for me. I found every word that she uttered to be really relatable and really understanding. The way she approached her apology and the way she spoke about her friend and how much she meant to her, even though she still struggled with communicating it, is really relatable to the experience of having friends and dealing with social situations as someone who is autistic and struggling to deal with the world around them. At the end of the movie, Mihiro attempts to self-diagnose herself as a sociopath.
私、社会不適合者なので。
But this isn't true, because she does care about what other people think. Even in just these few examples, this makes Mihiro an incredibly relatable character for myself. And it means so much to me to see a performance like this done so well on screen, even if it's not intended to be representation at all. I'd also like to take this moment to circle back on Sayori Ozawa's performance. She is an experienced professional stuntwoman, and hasn't really had a lot of opportunity to be in front of the camera. I feel like this performance to me showcases how brilliant she can be, and makes me wonder personally, why we weren't putting her in everything and letting her act the whole time. She's obviously amazing at the stunts, which we'll get to later, but she also does a lot of great physical acting and delivers her lines perfectly. Hopefully, we'll see her become a megastar in my lifetime. The friendship between the two main characters is another reason why I love this movie. They have a really enviable relationship. These two characters are supposed to represent two Gen Z slackers. So this movie plays out more how Ghost World did for millennials, or maybe more like how Bill and Ted did for Generation X.
Excellent!
And I actually think that these two characters are actually very similar to Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted have this super wholesome relationship, and they're adorable together. I think the same can be said for our two main characters here. Every little moment of them two together is a whole vibe. This is one of the things I love most about the movie. And honestly, I personally could watch them sit on that couch, sorting out ammo, watching videos and playing on the Switch, basically endlessly. Even when they argue and disagree, you can still see how wonderful their relationship is and how much fun it is. And the movie goes out of the way to show every little aspect of this life. Them eating food, them dealing with broken appliances, even them bickering about how an assassin's job should take place. A lot of these moments are very humorous and very well done. Which brings me on to the next thing that I love about this movie, and that's the humour. Ultimately, I'd call this a dramedy and not a comedy. It's certainly not an outright comedy. It's also not a movie that's joke-focused or situation-focused. Instead, I would argue that it's bit-focused. An example of something similar to what I mean is, I recently watched the movie Lady Bird. There's a scene in Lady Bird where the theatre director gets ill and he needs to be replaced, and the only person they can replace him with is the football coach. This football coach then starts giving direction to the actors. And of course, he does the whole John Madden thing. He's coming in from the left, boom. Singers are coming down from the top, boom. Then they come on cue, boom. And it's a switch off to the right, boom. It's almost like a little sketch that plays out, rather than a joke itself. And this is exactly how the comedy in Baby Assassins is structured. Every one of these moments is destined to put a smile on your face, whether that be the gender-inclusive Yakuza, or whether it's the cleanup crew complaining that the assassins are making their job harder, or whether it's anything to do with that maid cafe, which is a hilarious scene. I feel like these bits are well written, creative, and really fit within the theme and vibes that the show was going for the whole time. The fact that the humour manages to put its place in this slice of life drama without feeling out of place, to me is a testament to how good of a quality the movie is. All of these bits are brought together by fantastically acted sequences, brilliant physical performances, and well-structured delivery. Looking at all these things together, I think it's clear to see why I love this movie, and why I think you should love this movie too, or at least give it the time of day. But there's still one thing that I haven't mentioned yet. That's right, the main reason people were interested in this movie in the first place, the action. As stated before, I don't really think this is an action movie. In total, there's maybe only around 10-15 minutes of action in this 1.5 hour movie, which is exactly why I warned about going into this movie with action expectations. But this doesn't mean that this isn't a highlight for the movie. In fact, the action scenes of this movie are fantastically crafted, and some of the best of the year, with many dubbing the final fight as one of the fights of the year, if not the fight of the year. Upcoming director and stunt choreographer plus director, Yugo Sakamoto and Kensuke Sonomura, paid close attention and special detail to make sure that these fights were as exciting as possible. There's definitely a unique style here. It's really scrappy, it's really in your face, it's quite real. One of the final sequences of the movie sees Saori Izawa's character face Masanori Mimoto's character, and this is an exceptionally scrappy, quick, fluid, and brutal sequence. Not only is this a fantastic fight scene just to watch, just for the pure action of it all, but it also does a lot for Mihiro's character. It really underpins the whole story, showcases how these characters have grown, what their skills are, and how it all comes together and the differences between the two girls and the way that they approach this situation they find themselves in. I think that given that this is ultimately not an action movie, the fact that so much detail and so much care was put into crafting a fantastic action sequence at the end of the movie shows just how much love this movie was made with, and just how much care this movie was made with. It's a movie I've become totally obsessed with, and one that I really, really love, and one that I hope you love too. So thanks for listening. Please comment and let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions to improve stuff like this in the future. Ultimately, I felt really inspired to make this. And I'm not normally that inspired. Like I say, I'm a lot like Mahiro, but I wanted to at least try and create something. I know the audio's not perfect, I don't really have a very good mic, but hopefully the content makes up for that, and hopefully, you can enjoy hearing my perspective on these films. It's actually so hard to record yourself. If I manage to stay motivated, hopefully I can make more of these, just to showcase more things that I love and why I love them, and hopefully spread some awareness about things that not a lot of people have seen. And maybe I'll get better at delivering these lines so that they don't sound so much like I'm giving a presentation on their analysis. But thanks anyway. Please feel free to follow me on any of the platforms listed below. Have a great day.